Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Law & Crime Network. I'm Jesse Weber, joined here by criminal defense attorney Sara Azari, and we're going to break down the biggest live trials and legal stories in the news today. We have a bunch of things to cover, so let's get started right now. Okay, there's a lot to break down here, and Sara, I don't even know where to begin. I just want to start right now from the idea of what we can expect from the defense, because what can we expect? She didn't do anything yet.
Who knows? I mean, look, you have two opportunities as a defendant to present your opening statement. You can do it at the end of the prosecution's opening statement or at the end of the prosecution's case before you put on a defense. She's waived both. That to me is not as stunning because she has no legal knowledge, she has no legal experience. Opening statements you have to be very careful with. You make promises to the jury about the evidence that they're going to hear and see. And so if you don't know what you're doing, maybe it is better not to say a thing, you know what I mean, and just keep quiet. But she has not challenged a single witness. There's 11 witnesses who've testified, and she has not cross-examined any of them. And that is the most stunning thing to me, is that, yes, she has a right to represent herself as a pro se defendant. She's found to be competent to understand and participate in this trial, but she's not participating in the trial. She's letting this prosecutor, who's extremely aggressive, just plow through swiftly towards a guilty verdict.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, if most of the witnesses called so far were talking about the traumatic history of Imani Moss, but not so much the starvation element, is she waiting to just cross-examine Imani Moss if he ultimately testifies, the victim's father?
Iman, you mean? Iman
Moss, excuse me, I'm sorry.
You know, I just have to wonder because he's obviously a very bad witness for her. He is the closest to her, to the victim, to the crime scene. He has a lot of information, but he's also a cooperating co-defendant who needs to be challenged because he has a motive to lie. He's getting a deal out of this. He's going to avoid the death penalty, part of the sentencing if he testifies against her. So she definitely needs to challenge him, but then she also has a Fifth Amendment right, and the question is she going to get it? Maybe she's not doing any cross-examination, but she's going to get up and testify for herself. I just don't know what to expect.
How would that work? If she's representing herself, how would she take the stand and testify? How would that physically work? How would that practically work? Would she give herself a list of questions? Would she read a statement?
I mean, I think the judge could potentially question her, or the prosecutor can question her, or both. She definitely has a right to testify for herself or invoke the Fifth. Again, given the pattern that she's following, I don't know what to expect.
I don't know what to expect either, and I don't think anybody out there knows what to expect, but I tell you what we can expect right now, to go live in the courtroom because the first witness of the day is up live. Let's go. Wow, you are watching Imani Moss not only talk about discovering the dead body of his daughter, but more importantly, helping dispose of the body of his daughter because he was helping out his wife, the defendant, Tiffany Moss. Sara Azari, what do you make of all this?
It's incredible. Look, again, I'm wondering if she is going to cross-examine him. He's a co-defendant. There is a lot of room for challenging his testimony. He obviously is clearly at fault too. I mean, these two parents should have never had kids to begin with. But you know, he would come, he would see her emaciated, he would see her what he thought were seizures, didn't do anything, listen to Tiffany, didn't take her to get medical care. So there's a lot of room to challenge him, and I wonder if she's going to do it. She's taking really diligent notes. I don't know what she's planning on doing with these notes.
She's been doing that throughout the whole case. I don't know what the strategy is.
Right, it's what a lawyer would do, except she's not actually, you know, cross-examining and arguing. So it's interesting for me to see what happens with this, and you know, he's the star witness. I mean, he's the guy.
Let me ask you this. I mean, it seems that he's putting all the blame on her, right?
Correct.
That he discovered the body and that, you know, he was only at home 3 hours a day during the week and he took care of the kids on the weekend, and he even mentioned that Imani would eat so much on the weekend, presumably because she was being starved during the week.
Correct.
Is this going to be effective for a jury if, I mean,
Well,
at the end of the day, they know that he pled guilty and he's in prison.
Right, and anytime you have co-defendants, it's like this. You know, everyone's pointing the finger the other way. But there's a lot that he's saying that's also corroborated. You know, there's photographs, there's receipts of the Walmart purchases. You know, he's also saying that the complaints that Tiffany had about Imani he never was able to corroborate them. You know, the feces in the cereal, the feces on the wall, whatever whatever she was complaining about. He never found evidence of it. I think, this is the ultimate neglect by the father, is that he knew there's something going on and did nothing about it and take it in his own hands and didn't get help for this.
I don't understand. Was he protecting Tiffany? Is that the sense you're getting from this testimony?
I get the sense that his loyalty was to his new wife, and not really to his child. And she really became not just the stepchild of Tiffany, but, the unwanted child in the household. That's the sense I get, and that she was more of a burden to these parents than anything else.
You mentioned something to me before that really just stunned me. This is a death penalty case.
Yeah.
I'm assuming if she's convicted, it might be an easy job for the jury to ultimately find death penalty. You had an interesting perspective on this.
Well, first of all, she's relying on God and only God. Now, God has failed a lot of felons, okay? A lot of people find God in prison after their arrest, and God hasn't helped. So I'm not sure if it's going to be of help to her in this case. But yeah, the death penalty, I don't practice in Georgia, but I was looking into the death penalty statute there. For the death penalty, you need a unanimous jury verdict for the death penalty to apply. And murder is definitely one of the crimes that falls under the statute in almost every state. But then it can't just be regular murder. There has to be aggravating circumstances. There's a whole long list of aggravating circumstances in Georgia for a murder to then be subjected to the death penalty. But in this case, the only category that would remotely fit is murder by torture. And that arguably may not apply here.
Who's going to argue on her behalf?
Well, exactly. I believe nobody. But I mean, you and I can, colloquially say, she was tortured because she was so deprived, she was so neglected, she was so abused. But torture under the law, as you know, requires a lot more violence.
Starvation's not torture?
I mean, arguably, I think the prosecution is going to argue that she was tortured to death. And but if she had a skilled attorney or a attorney representing her, I think that attorney potentially could effectively argue against the death penalty.
What a sad case. Sarah Azari, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me this morning.
Appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we have a lot more to talk about, and we'll jump back live in that courtroom. Stay tuned.